If you are in a relationship with somebody who constantly picks fights with you, or maybe you notice that you're the one picking all the fights, then this video is for you because I am going to explain why this happens, what's going on in the brain, and what you can do to shift this. Now, there are many reasons as to why someone might be prone to fighting in their romantic relationships, but whatever the reason is, it can take its toll on your nervous system and it can negatively impact your health and your relationship. If you are new to this channel, welcome. My name is Jess and I help determined women over the age of 30 to break free from self-sabotage and unlock success. If you are interested in working together, I do offer a complimentary 15-minute Zoom call with me. The link is in the description below. The first reason that someone might be prone to fighting in their romantic relationships is that they grew up in a household where there was a lot of fighting. And while their brain was developing at a really young age, it was developing in response to that fighting. Our environment and our caregivers' relationship to us impacts how our brains develop. It's like they're sculptors and they're molding our brain as if it were clay. When you're little, between the ages of 0 to 7, your subconscious mind is what's online. Your conscious mind comes online later. And your subconscious mind is downloading everything that it sees and experiences. And whatever you survive in regards to your trauma, your subconscious mind records that as survivable. So when you become an adult, your subconscious mind is going to be attracted to partners who share those similar traits as your parents. It does this because its number one job is it wants to keep you safe. And it does that by having you stick to what you know, to what's familiar. I grew up in a home where there was a lot of fighting. And when I became an adult and started to date, I was attracted to partners who wanted to fight. I was a former people pleaser, and people pleasers tend to attract those who like to fight. Usually fawn types or people pleasers will unconsciously be attracted to the fight type, and the fight types will be attracted to the fawn type. The fight types like the fact that they can dominate the fawn type and control them, and the fawn type unconsciously is attracted to that domination. I also think that the fawn type is attracted to the powerful voice that they perceive the fight type as having because deep down they wish they could have that themselves. When we grow up in households with a lot of fighting, the child's developing brain gets wired for chaos. They survived chaos at home, so they will unconsciously look for it or create it because that's what their subconscious mind feels the safest with. Deep down in their brain, they link love with fighting because this is what they survived growing up. The second thing that can be going on for fight types is that deep down, the fight response can be triggered from a subconscious or unconscious fear of abandonment. Based on past trauma, their brain will generalize, delete, and distort reality, which causes them to perceive their partner's actions as a possible threat of abandonment, which triggers an unhealed core wound, causing them to lash out at their partner in abusive ways. You can see this playing out with people who tend to have more narcissistic or borderline tendencies. And I'm not saying that with judgment. I just want to remind you that this fight response is a trauma response. Personally, I think we all deep down have a fear of abandonment. Some people just experience it more intensely than others. These intense emotions can be linked to ancestral trauma. I will link a video up here for you if you're interested in learning more about that specifically. For some people who experience the fight trauma response, I've heard them share with me personally in sessions that the good thing that comes to them from fighting with their partner is that when their partner fights back, it shows them that they care. So just keep that in mind. And if the fighting were to stop in the relationship, it would cause the fight type to think that their partner doesn't care about them. And this very subconscious belief is what's running the show, and it's connected back to what they experienced in childhood. It gets back to what I mentioned earlier, that love equals fighting. These two get linked in the brain. The third reason why somebody might be prone to fighting is because they're trying to stimulate their prefrontal cortex. That's the part of the brain right back here. Now remember how I said our brains develop in response to our caregivers and how they treat us and the environment that we're growing up in? Dr. Daniel Amen discusses in his book, This is Change Your Brain, Change Your Life. How underactivity in the prefrontal cortex, the front part of our brain, it's responsible for executive functions like impulse control, judgment, focus, and empathy. And this can often lead people to unconsciously seek stimulation through conflict, including picking fights with their partners. So when they pick the fight, it stimulates this part of the brain. Dr. Amen describes that people with low prefrontal cortex activity display symptoms of poor impulse control. They blurt out insensitive or hurtful comments without thinking, and they struggle to think things through before they speak. This directly fuels arguments. They say whatever comes to their mind without considering how it will affect the other person. Yet these symptoms are labeled as ADHD or ADD. And I personally think that ADHD and ADD is due to complex PTSD. And when you heal that, the ADD and ADHD will start to fade away. The fight type crave stimulation. The understimulated prefrontal cortex creates like a bored or almost like a sleep feeling in the brain. So these individuals will unconsciously manufacture drama to help stimulate it and wake it up. They may even be drawn to stimulants or caffeine to help them wake up that part of the brain. Dr. Amen explains that people with low prefrontal cortex activity often create crises in their life because their brain is craving that stimulation. They may pick fights, get into trouble, or engage in risky behavior to just feel alive. And this is especially evident in relationships where they might nitpick or criticize or escalate minor issues into extreme blowouts with their spouses or partners just to get that dopamine hit. And this, of course, negatively impacts their relationships. The fight types are drawn to the intensity, the ups and downs in the relationships. Dating them can feel like an emotional roller coaster. And in my opinion, it's very draining and distracting to be on the receiving end of this. Unfortunately, consistently fighting takes a toll on our health. And over time, the anger and the fighting will ultimately push away the very people that the fight type does care about, which will exacerbate that unhealed abandonment wound, just reinforcing the belief that it's just a matter of time before they're going to leave me. Leaving the fight type to say when their partner actually does leave, "See, I knew you would leave me like all the others do." When your subconscious mind feels the safest being abandoned, it can cause one to act in ways that will sabotage relationships and push away the very people they want to keep around. This is your subconscious mind trying to keep you safe. Fighting is a self-sabotaging behavior that pushes love away, because for the fight type, they may have never truly experienced a healthy form of love, which to their subconscious mind doesn't feel safe. That's why they fight and push love away, because that's where they feel the safest. But they are not consciously aware that they are doing this. That's the conundrum. Now, fighting happens in relationships. The healthier the relationship, it doesn't mean that there isn't any fighting. Fighting happens. The important thing is it's about the repair after the fight. The repair brings healing to the relationship. It's important to heal the fracture that's created from a fight or an argument. When repair is done in the right way, we can increase the intimacy in our relationships and get to know our partner on a deeper level. In dysfunctional relationship, there's no repair. There's no talking about it. There's no working through it after the fight takes place. Talking about it just leads to more fighting more often than not. So it's just swept under the rug. So people with complex PTSD are more likely to have an inner critic. Complex PTSD is usually the result of prolonged childhood trauma. For us kiddos who experienced complex PTSD, we have an inner critic. Now that inner critic can be focused inward, where we beat ourselves up, and it can also be projected outwards, where we criticize and pick apart other people. For the fight type, their inner critic is more projected outwards. It's directed towards others. This is part of why they nitpick their partner, which leads to the fighting. Now, it can be hard for fight types to seek therapy because they have a hard time seeing how they're contributing to the relationship difficulties. The inner critic finds fault in their partners and not in themselves. And at an unconscious level, they're almost idealizing their partner. And when their partner shows up as a human being who is perfectly imperfect, that illusion is shattered, which triggers that deep core wound that I won't be able to get my needs met by this person, and they'll fight with them, pushing their partner away, pushing intimacy away, and sabotaging their relationships over and over again. So I think the most important thing is, what can you do about this? Well, you have to heal the trauma that's in your subconscious and unconscious mind. This is what's fueling that unwanted behavior. You have to heal the deep core wounds around the abandonment and rejection. Also, having a proper diet and taking the right supplements can also go a long way. And learning to regulate your emotions by doing mindfulness practices can also help to rewire your brain. If you are in a relationship with a fight type, chances are you might be a fawn type or a people pleaser. If that's you, then you're going to want to check out this video here.